Thank you, band. That was awesome. You guys can all have a seat. My name is Kelly, and I'm on staff here at Nativity. Hi, Tim. Nice to see you guys. Hi, hi, hi. I'm waving to everybody. Hey, listen, when I was in middle school, I had two things that happened to me that really changed my perspective on life a little bit. Number one, I had this bully, this girl. Her name was Betty Swanson. Doesn't that sound like a bully's name? Betty Swanson. And she sat behind me in seventh grade, and she used to steal things from my desk. And I knew it was her, so I confronted her, and then she decided she wanted to beat me up every day after school for like 3 weeks. And I'm not a fighter, I'm a lover. And I wouldn't know how to fight anyway. So I was really kind of scared for several weeks. She just wanted to beat me up every day after school. She would tell me where to meet her, and I wouldn't go. The second thing that happened to me is I had my first boyfriend, and he just broke up with me. So I had my first breakup. So it's a little bit of a rough patch for me there in seventh grade. And what I want you guys to know that I didn't know at the time is that when you're sad, I was sad, I was embarrassed, I was angry, right? And those aren't things that we enjoy feeling. But I want you to know that those are all normal emotions that we feel because we're human. All humans have those emotions. Joseph was right last week when he said, everyone suffers. Everybody has pain. And I'm talking about emotional pain here tonight. Everybody struggles with something. Everyone in this room has struggled with something, is struggling with something right now, or will in the future. So I'm glad you guys are here. That's what I didn't know. I didn't know that when you have big emotions, it's normal. You're not alone. Don't you feel alone though when you're embarrassed or when you have a bully or when your boyfriend breaks up with you? Like, you feel alone. But everyone has pain of some kind. You're not alone. You're never alone. So there's a whole range of human emotions, right? And I do want to acknowledge that they're uncomfortable, but they're good. All the emotions are good because they tell us something about ourselves, right? They tell you that there's something wrong in your environment. Like if you're hanging out with someone who's not being nice to you and you're upset about it, that's information that you should pay attention to. Maybe I don't hang out with those people anymore. Maybe I need a different group of friends. Or this guy or this girl isn't very nice to me, so maybe I need to step back from that relationship. So all emotions are good. Some of them are just uncomfortable, right? But they do give us some information. Everyone suffers. You know that popular guy who plays soccer and lacrosse, and he's really good. He scores like 100 goals every game. He struggles too. The pretty girl who gets straight A's and she has the cute boyfriend. Maybe her boyfriend is the soccer lacrosse player. Seems like she has everything. She struggles too. She suffers too. Look around the room. Look at your friend next to you. You don't have to ask. But that person is probably struggling with something or has or will. Maybe it was a comment from a teacher that was unfair. Maybe it was something your mom and dad said to you tonight before you got out of the car. Maybe you got cut from the team this fall. That's the bad news about emotions. There's always going to be painful ones, but there's also some good news that I want to share with you tonight. But first, I want to talk about what we do when we have those uncomfortable feelings. What do you do when you're sad or lonely or scared or angry? What do you do? Some people go for a run. Some people talk to their parents. Those are great things to do. But if you really paid attention to the next time you felt anxious or stressed, I wonder if you would notice that you scroll through Instagram, or you go play video games, or you just go to sleep. See, as humans, we are wired to avoid pain. Nobody wants to feel sad or angry or unhappy. No one wants to be embarrassed. We're wired to avoid it. So when I was in 7th grade, I avoided it by just withdrawing. I didn't talk to anybody. I just wanted to go be alone. That's how I dealt with the sadness, with the bullying situation, with the breakup. I just withdrew from everyone, didn't talk to anyone. Now, sometimes when I'm feeling some big emotions, I binge watch. I numb out for a couple of hours. What do you guys do? Do you scroll through Instagram? You scroll through TikTok? Play video games maybe? What else? Yell something out. YouTube Shorts. That's a big one. YouTube. I see a lot of YouTube. Fortnite? Oof. Swimming? Oh, okay. Video game. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your participation. Thank you so much. So, those things are all things that are okay to do, but if you're avoiding pain, if you're doing them to avoid whatever you're feeling, then that can be a little bit dangerous because then you're just stuffing that feeling down, right? You're not processing it. You're not dealing with it. You're not talking to someone. So I want to give you just a couple of things that maybe you could do instead. See, because that's the bad news. Bad news is everyone suffers, we're going to have pain. But there's good news. Because, see, we have something that no one else has. As Christians, we have the secret, the antidote to these big emotions. And we're going to take a look back at the story of Joseph to see what Joseph did when he was suffering. Okay, so you guys heard a little bit of the story last week. I'm just going to recap real quick, okay? He was the youngest of 12 brothers, right? He had this messy family with all these moms. He was the favorite son. He had a beautiful coat of many colors. And his dad, he was his favorite. He was his dad's favorite, so his brothers hated him. So what they did was they threw him in a ditch, and they wanted to kill him, but they ended up selling him into slavery. So now Joseph ends up as a slave, and he's bought by Potiphar. Potiphar is the guy who works for the ruler of Egypt. And so Joseph is now a slave. He's left his family. You can imagine he's having some big emotions, right? He's sad. He's separated from his family. He's a slave now. But what does he do? What does he do with that struggle? The next thing that happens to Joseph is that Potiphar's wife, Joseph's spending a lot of time with the family here. Potiphar's wife decides she wants to have a relationship with Joseph. She wants to get with him, okay? You with me? So Joseph's a good guy. We know that from last week. He's a good guy. And he says, no, Mrs. Potiphar, you are married, and I'm not interested. She wanted Joseph to become her boyfriend, even though she was married. He says no. She gets mad, and then she accuses him of hurting her falsely. Joseph didn't do anything to hurt her, but she publicly accuses him in front of all these people in the palace, in the place where he's living, that he has good relationships with. So now everybody knows that he's done something, or thinks that he's done something to harm Potiphar's wife. So he gets thrown into jail. Listen, this is what Genesis chapter 39 says. Joseph's master seized him, put him into the jail where the king's prisoners were confined, and there he sat in jail. It goes on to say, but the Lord was with Joseph and showed him kindness by making the chief jailer well disposed toward him. The chief jailer put Joseph in charge of all the prisoners in the jail. He didn't have to look after anything that was in Joseph's charge, since the Lord was with him, bringing success to whatever he was doing. Now, how many of you, when you're really struggling, having a rough day, feel like the Lord is with you? I'm glad to see a couple hands, because he is. He is with you. It doesn't always feel like it, right? You feel abandoned, because you think, if the Lord's with me, then I wouldn't be suffering. But that's not true. Jesus told us we will have trouble in this world. He told his apostles, you will have trouble in this world, but take heart, I have overcome the world. So when we suffer, it's not because God isn't with us. It's because We're human and we live in a broken world. We can expect it. So Joseph is sold by his brothers. He's taken from his family. He rises through the ranks and is kind of well respected until Potiphar's wife accuses him of harming her, and then he is thrown into jail for something that he did not do. That is unfair. Talk about life being unfair, right? He didn't do anything, and he's in jail. So what does Joseph do? Here's the good news. This is where we get to make a different decision than somebody who doesn't know this information. I wish I knew this in 7th grade. Number 1, God's always with you. Turn to God when you're suffering. Turn to God. He's always with you. Number 2, you will be tempted to relieve the pain by playing Fortnite or Minecraft, scrolling on the YouTube shorts. Yes, you'll be tempted, but I want to encourage you. Try something else instead. You ready? Turn to God and find a couple things that you're grateful for. Gratitude is the secret sauce to overcoming suffering, or to suffering well, if we want to put it like that. Turn to God, find some things to be grateful for, and talk to someone. Joseph was probably constantly talking to God, constantly. And so we also know that he was grateful and he worked hard and God brought him success. God was with him. So I just want to encourage you again, you have a choice to make when you're suffering, when you're sad, when you're embarrassed, when you're hurt, when you're angry. Don't bury that pain. Don't numb it. Don't scroll through YouTube looking for relief. Those don't have relief. When you're done, it might numb you for a little bit, but when you're done, you just feel the same pain again. Turn to God. Be grateful. It's really hard to find something you're grateful for when you're suffering, isn't it? But we have so much to be grateful for. I know you can find a few things. And then finally, talk to someone. Talk to your small group leader. Talk to your parents. Talk to your brother or sister, your best friend. That's the secret. It's not a big secret to not having suffering. There's no way around that. Everybody suffers. But there is a way to do it well with God. Thank you so much. Have a great time in your small groups.